fellow collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Carnivac versus Fisitron from the Transformers Age of the Primes Wreck and Doom collection from Hasbro. So this is an Amazon exclusive 2-pack. Every year, you know, the different retailers get their little capsule collections, and the Wreck and Doom collection is for Amazon. Just got here in the mail today. I have to say, artwork on the front of the box looks really great. I really like that a lot. So Fisitron, I believe the character's original name was Iron Fist, but I believe due to Marvel copyrights and whatnot, they've probably lost the rights to that name. And so we are left with Fisitron, which is a weird name. But in any case, top of the box here just has kind of a close-up of that same artwork. Not really much going on down here on the bottom. Over on this side, just kind of the same artwork again, and same over here. On the back, you can see we get nice product shots of the robot modes and the alt modes here. And since Carnivac is a reuse/retool of Weird Wolf from back in Titan's Return, that's right, we're busting out Titan's Return molds still. He comes with a Headmaster Decepticon Survivor. And then I believe Fisitron here is a repaint/retool of Siege Hound. I think that's what we got going on here. So definitely reaching back for some of these molds. Gonna go ahead and get them both out of the packaging here, and we'll take a closer look. So here are Carnivac and Fisitron out of the packaging, and I gotta be honest, for as old as these molds are, they still hold up fairly decently, and I think these two came out pretty great. Honestly, I wasn't expecting much. I mean, I wasn't expecting them to be terrible or anything like that, but I'm kind of surprised with how much I really like them. I think, honestly, the color schemes are fantastic, and that really makes these old molds pop, and so I just think they really worked out well. We'll start with Carnivac. We'll take a closer look at him first. So taking a closer look at Carnivac here, it is 100% just the Weird Wolf mold, and the legs are a little weird. I haven't played with this mold in so long, so I really didn't remember much about it. But it's pretty cool, and like I said, I really like the color scheme. Now, I will say there are some parts that were obviously done in other colors, pretty much anything that is this brown color, and so they really had to cake the paint on to not have the undertone of plastic, you know, come through. And so that those pieces kind of feel a little thick, but I think it'll be fine, honestly. I absolutely love the head sculpt. The expression on the face is absolutely amazing. I love the visor. I love that kind of smirk/grimace. I think that came out so great. The Decepticon symbol there looks pretty good. You have some of this kind of dark teal color, which looks pretty great. The sword here, you can see, was also done in the purple plastic, and then they had to kind of cake this teal color on there. So that's, you know, it really feels kind of thick in terms of the paint, but it came out okay. I think they did a good job. It's a basic little tail sword here, which I think worked out pretty well. And then this gun over here, kind of basic, but I think it looks fine. You know, it's a decent looking gun. Again, done in the purple plastic, and then they had to really cake on that brown paint, but it looks okay. I just always worry when it's this caked on, like I feel like it's going to rub off over time, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, the weapons look okay. If we pop the little Headmaster off, like I said, I absolutely love that face. I think they did such a good job with that. And it's a basic little Titan Master, you know, nothing special. The little face on here is a little difficult to make out just because it's so tiny. But it looks like they just kind of painted that completely with this kind of metallic silver, and a little bit of it got on the sides of the head there. And then you have this little pop of purple. And then I think the arms and the legs are just made out of the teal plastic, so I don't think there's any paint there. But you can, you know, you have the same kind of basic articulation where you have the really limited little ball joint for the shoulder there, and then you have the two hinges. So this is, if you've ever handled a Titan Master before, this is a standard Titan Master. There's nothing new or exciting with this one, but he looks all right. Getting back to the body here, again, it is the Weird Wolf mold, so if you've ever handled that, you have a ball joint here in the shoulder, so you have pretty decent range of motion there, spin all the way around, no problem. You have a bicep swivel, which is also needed for transformation. You can see the elbow actually bends both ways, because you need it like this for robot mode and like this for the wolf mode. Nothing in the wrist, because this does pop up. It's going to fold into the forearm. You do have a waist swivel, which works out pretty well. You do have like some of this kibble back here, but it doesn't really get in the way. I mean, obviously it's going to hit into it eventually, but you can still get a pretty good range of motion out of the hips there, or the waist, I should say. The hips are on a ball joint, so that can kick pretty far back. You might have to get around this a little bit, but I think you can do it. Nice out to the side, that's pretty good. You have a thigh swivel there right above the knee. Knee bends pretty good. You have a ball joint down here for the ankle. So pretty good range of motion there as well. And then technically you can flip this around. Although I've noticed like sometimes, because you can see the way it's just kind of in there like that, and when you go to click it over, it'll pop out. Like this one's been popping out on me all the time. And it's very simple to pop back in because it's literally just, you know, like that with the little nubs in there. And so you pop it back in very easily. But then when you have to get over this tab to kind of lock it in place for the robot mode, you kind of have to like push it up and get it over, and then it'll be fine. But those are probably going to pop out on you. And also the shins come unpegged quite frequently. But like I said, at this point, God, this mold's got to be at least 7, 8 years old. So I mean, for as old as it is, I think it's fairly decent. It still holds up fairly well, and I just absolutely love the color scheme. I think that's what really sells it. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into the transformation here. So for transformation, you have to remove the accessories and the head, of course, but you're going to start out by flipping up this little panel here on the forearm, and then the hand is going to just rotate down in there, and then you can just close that up. And then you have the wolf paw swing around, and then you rotate this at the bicep, and then kind of bend this forward like so. So repeat the process over here on this side. Flip this up, and it is easier if you do it both sides at the same time. If you try to pry it up by just one side, you know, it might cause some stress, but I think it'll be all right. So flip that and then swivel that, and then you can just kind of put these out to the side like so. You can take the wolf head, and you can see that there's an obvious tab and tab slot right there. So that's just going to pop in like so. Then you're going to come, this is the part that I find the weirdest of the transformation. I did not remember this from Weird Wolf. You open this up, and you can kind of see how there is like a smaller box inside this larger box. And so you have to kind of tilt this up. And it's weird to do this, but you have to kind of wiggle this. I'm trying to remember. There we go. So you kind of lift this up, and then this will slide out. So you can kind of see like these two pieces were kind of slid into this track here. And so you're going to bring this down, and now you can see that there's a second track. And so you're going to bring this down like this and kind of pop it in there. And that kind of just elongates the wolf body. Now when you close this, you can see that this is going to close completely and actually fit in that space. Then you're going to come down here to the legs, and you're going to unpeg these shin pieces. They're going to pop off, so you can see that there was a tab slot right there, and that's the tab that was pegged into there. This is going to come up and just kind of hang out up here. It doesn't really peg into place up there. It just kind of hangs out. So do that with both. And then bring this up. And then you want to kind of like put them to the side, because you kind of want like the legs to be like this a little bit. And then you can utilize like all these bends to kind of give it like a more wolf-like leg. And then you're going to fold in these pieces, the heels, or I guess with technically the front in the robot mode. And then you can spin this whole thing around if you want at that ball joint, or you can just spin it down here at the bottom ball joint, whichever you prefer. It really doesn't matter. So once again, we're going to fold in the front of the foot and then spin this around. And then you can kind of see, here is our wolf. So let me kind of put this like that. And then you're going to take the tail, and it is going to slide into this little spot up here. So just slide that in like that. And there's your wolf mode. If you want to open this up, you can put the little Titan Master friend inside there. So we'll just fold up his arms, and he will drop in like that, and then close that up. And then the gun pegs into this little spot here on the front, like so. And there we go. There is Carnivac. I think he looks pretty good. I mean, obviously in G1, Carnivac was a pretender. He had a giant wolf pretender shell, and they're not going to recreate anything like that. But, you know, they've gone for recreating the, you know, pretender robot inside. I think the head sculpt is pretty good. I'm pretty sure it's exactly the same as Weird Wolf's. I don't have Weird Wolf handy, obviously, to compare because that's an old mold. But the mouth, I think, is really nicely detailed. Very painted silver inside. That looks great. The bottom of the jaw is painted the brown. And then the paint up here for the eyes and kind of the crest of the wolf's head, I think looks pretty good. Otherwise, articulation is pretty much the same here on the front legs. It's the same ball joints in the shoulders. It's the same swivel and hinge here in the elbow, except now you have kind of a double jointed ball joint. So you have a ball joint here, and then you have a ball joint. Or maybe is that a swivel? Maybe it's just a swivel. Or actually, maybe that's not... Never mind. It's the one ball joint. I thought it was moving down here. It's not. It's just this ball joint. But again, nice range of motion there. And then for the back, pretty much the same hip joint. This swivel that was the knee joint you can still move. I mean, it'll move this piece around, but you can still utilize it. Then you have a ball joint here and a ball joint down here. So pretty good articulation-wise. I mean, like I said, the mold's almost 10 years old at this point. 7, 8 years old. But I think in these colors, it's pretty good. I think they actually did a pretty decent job. It holds up pretty decently. Nothing feels super loose or anything like that, which I was surprised about. So yeah, just in general, Carnivac's pretty cool. Up next, we have Fisitron. And again, with this being kind of an older mold, being from the first wave of the War for Cybertron trilogy with Siege, this has got to be 6 years old at this point. But I think it holds up. Gun looks pretty good. Similar situation to Carnivac, where it was done in a different colored plastic, a much darker colored plastic. And then they really had to cake that yellow paint on there on top of the navy blue plastic. It's always difficult with the yellow and things. You can see just how much of that paint is caked on there. So, I mean, it feels okay. It almost feels like it would be, or looks like it would be a little tacky, but it's not too bad. And I just hope over time, again, it doesn't rub off. Especially when you see what we do with it later on in the transformation. I start to worry about rubbing the paint off. But for the most part, I think the gun, very simple, very basic. The peg here is very short, but you'll see why a little bit later on. And then over here on this side, he's kind of got this little like wheel shield, which if you don't want to put this on the forearm, you don't have to. I just thought it looked kind of neat. You can store it over here on the back if you prefer. I mean, this entire piece here just gets stored on the back. It's mostly for the vehicle mode. If you wanted to put this on the arm as a shield, you could do that as well. So you have some options with the accessories. But yeah, you can see this is done in the navy blue, little pop of yellow there, a little bit of silver here on the front. And what you're supposed to do for the vehicle mode, you're supposed to take this, and you can see that there's like a little peg spot right there, and that's for this peg here. And so this little cutout right here is supposed to go around this section right here, this tiniest little part. And so that's where I really worry about the paint rubbing off over time. But you're supposed to pop that in there. It's tight, but like not so tight that it's impossible, but it's snug enough that it's certainly not going anywhere. And then you can see that it looks like the gun's coming out of there, which is kind of cool. And then you take the little wheel shield piece and pop that on top and peg that in. And then, I mean, if you wanted, you could store this entire thing on the back again. So you could leave them like that if you wanted. But it's also going to basically go in the exact same spot in the vehicle mode. So I'm just going to put it off to the side for now. But yeah, the paint scheme I think is pretty good. I really like the head sculpt. It's very basic, but I like it. I mean, he's got those like weird eyes. The shape of them just kind of gives off like a weird energy. He kind of seems like almost automaton-ish, if that's a word, which it isn't. I just made it up. But I like the faceplate there. You got a tiny little Autobot symbol there. All of the detail down here, you got a little metallic silver paint, little metallic blue there for the headlights. That all looks pretty sharp. And then the rest of them is really just, you know, yellow, blue, and this grayish silver. So it's kind of a basic color scheme, but the colors look good together and it works. You know, the legs are a little hollow, but it's because of how they transform. Honestly, he's pretty cool. I like him. Like I said, it's A very basic little bot, a little basic color scheme, but it all just kind of works, in my opinion. I like it quite a bit. If you've seen the mold before, you know the articulation. So the head is on a ball joint. You can go a little forward, a little back. Certainly spin side to side, tilt side to side a little bit. This piece you can kind of move forward or move back a little bit depending on how you prefer. Swivel here, hinge out to the side. Got a bicep swivel there, 90 degrees at the elbow. The wrists can also swivel, which is nice. I got a waist swivel here. No problems with that. Backpack does not get in the way at all. Kicking forward, kicking back, kicking out to the side. You have a thigh swivel. You can see it's kind of built in there with that mushroom peg. So you have a thigh swivel there. You have a little bit, slightly over 90 in the knee. And then you have some ankle tilt for days. I mean, he's got no problems because of the transformation with his ankle tilt. So, yeah, I mean, it's certainly an old mold. I think the last time we saw this used was that Orion Pax they did, which I think came with the Alpha Trion that was made out of Scourge. Does that sound right? I think so. In any case, we've seen it recently. It's shown up a few times. Cybertron Defense Hotshot as well. But it's still hanging in there. It's a decent mold. It's hanging in there. I think it's pretty good. So let's go ahead. Let's get into the transformation. Pretty simple, honestly. You're going to come around to the back here, and this is going to unpeg. You can see that there was like a little tab right there, and that tab's in right there. So you'll pop this up, and then this part here will flip out from underneath. I really like the little Autobot symbol there. I think that's kind of cool. Kind of a G2-ish Autobot symbol. So that's kind of hanging out there. You're going to unhook the arms enough that it'll give you clearance to swivel this whole section up. And then this is going to come down and fill in the gap there. And that's just going to kind of hang out like so. You're going to fold the arms in like this. And then you're going to rotate the bicep so that the arm can sit like that. Now they tell you to rotate the fists as well. I don't really think you need to because they don't peg into anything. They just hang out. So I don't think it really matters if you rotate the fists or not. You can if you wish. You're going to come down here to the legs, and the inside of the legs is going to pop out. Now, it will be like this in the vehicle mode, but you can actually do it like this, and that will definitely help you with clearance when you're flipping the legs around, so I advise you do that. Flip this around and leave this kind of out to the side, and then what you can do is just literally bring it down and then just kind of flip this around, and you have to kind of tuck it underneath. So if you want to leave the arms down, honestly, it might make it a little easier temporarily to flip this around. So we'll do this with both of our legs here. And then you're going to peg them together here in the back, as you can see, like that. And then this will kind of like naturally nestle in between these two spots here like this. And then once you do that, you can bring this part in, and you can see that there's kind of like a tab set up here. This will come in and just tab into that. And do it again on this side, and it's pretty much it. And then just tuck the hands back under if you haven't already. And there you go. There is the vehicle mode. The last thing to do is just take this and pop it on top. And there is Fisitron in his vehicle mode. So kind of a simple little Jeep, but I think it works. Like I said, I really like the color scheme. I like the little Autobot symbol back here. The kind of bluish silvery paint there for the windows I think works really well. I kind of wish the Autobot symbol was here instead of down here, but I guess then you wouldn't see it in the robot mode, so that's why they put it down here. And this little piece on top I think is kind of neat. Now if you don't really like that, you could take this off. And if you wanted, if you don't like the idea of sandwiching this in here, because it might wear the paint off one day, you could always kind of pop this back here. Do something like this. It'll have to kind of be out to the side a little bit, but you could do something like that. Or you could very simply just put this on the roof by itself. Or, actually, I don't think you can pop it in on the side because the peg's not long enough. But you could pop it down here on the actual bottom of the foot. So you have a couple options where you want to mount stuff if you prefer anything like that. But yeah, simplistic little color scheme, but I kind of like it. Just a cool little Jeep. So I gotta be honest, I actually really enjoyed this set way more than I thought I was going to. I thought it would be fine, you know, anytime they do new stuff, of course I want to pick it up, but I really enjoyed this set. I mean, I have to say they're definitely older molds, but they both fairly hold up. Nothing feels super loose. I don't really feel any mold fatigue or anything from them. Especially I was worried about the Weird Wolf mold because it's so old at this point, but Carnivac came out great. I mean, the color scheme's fantastic. The head sculpt's amazing. Transformation, you know, it's a little wonky for how old it is, but it's still the same as Weird Wolf, and the Wolf mode looks perfectly good. With Fisitron here, which I wish they could have come up with a better name for him. I'm probably just going to call him Iron Fist. But it's a simple color scheme, but it works. It's a simple head sculpt, but I think that works too. The accessories are great. You know, you have a lot of different options with them. You can store everything on the back if you want. You can put the shield, either piece as a shield on the arm. The gun looks good. You know, some of these accessories, I have to admit, have a lot of the paint, you know, to get over the color of the plastic that they were molded in. But I think it'll be fine, and I think it's a good time. I mean, it's a $50 set on Amazon for 2 deluxes. I think the price is fair. I mean, these things, if you want to wait, they'll probably go on sale. They always seem to. Especially after I've purchased them for full price. So, but it's a fun set. Honestly, I don't really have anything to complain about. I think everything here turned out pretty great. I'm happy with it, and they're a lot of fun. Definitely more fun than I thought they would be. So, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks so much for watching.